Hi, good evening everyone. This should be part 5 of my Ninja H2 rebuild. As I say, when we first mounted this, it was 297 horsepower at the rear wheel last time. Since then we've had a little bit more work done to it, a little bit different to the airflow and the electronic side of it a little bit. And we're hoping that we should be over 300 this time. I'm also fitting a boost gauge to it, and the booster fixed on these at the moment. But it'll be interesting to see what boost we're gaining, because at the moment the gears and the supercharger gears for this should be stage 3 or classed as stage 3. And as we were saying, sometimes the ECU will dump the boost before it'll get to optimum, so it'd be handy to know if it is. I'll stick a camera on and see if the boost gets dumped before it's creating its peak sort of thing, and it will also give us an indication of how much boost it's creating. I'm also fitting a camera system, front and rear camera system. The rear side of it I'll be using as a rear view mirror, because on the road I'll be probably having the wings on this bike, on the top wings, just to help to keep front end down if any situations, and keep it planted to the road. Top speed wise, we're not 100% sure whether it's going to create too much drag or whether it's going to help keep it down. Last time I run 199.787 with the wings on. Suppose if I took them off, I might have got that little bit more, but that was in 5th gear. That's another gear. I had electrical issues, which is the reason why this winter we've sort of had to go over to try and sort the electronics out and tweak a few little things while we're there. Right. I think I'll be trying to work on sorting the rest of the wiring on the back end and my electronic gear change control unit and that. Probably put the rear light unit in, plug everything in particular. Oh yeah, and incidentally, I'm going to get the other old loom out and check, because there's a blue plug on this, which has only got 2 wires going to it, which the only other plug, the only plug I can think of that should be unplugged is the O2 sensor. Now the O2 sensors, according to 2015 model manual, have 4 wires. Now whether they changed it for 2018 and had it slightly different, I don't know. So that's why I'm going to get the old loom out and check the plug that's directly next, because the 2 plugs next to each other, one's for the purge supercharged dump sensor, and right next to it is another plug, which is this blue one. Now I will obviously compare it to the other loom, so that's the first thing I'll probably do actually, and check to see if it should be, if it's the same plug, same blue plug with 2 wires. I need to find where it goes. Fortunately, there's a lot of wires on this bike, especially when I've added, like, you know, front and rear cameras, boost gauges, and also my electronic gear change stuff. There's a power commander 5, secondary fuel injection module, and an ignition control module, all from Dynajet on it. So there's wires for that as well. So there's a horrendous amount of wires, because when we first went to map this bike, there wasn't many people doing them, so we decided to do it through a power commander, which will make it a bit easier. As time's gone on, where my dyno guys learned how to do it through the ECU. Whether it's something we'll move to in the future, I don't know. It just makes it a bit easier the way it is at the moment. Right, I'll speak to you shortly then. Thank you very much. Hello everyone. It's been a rather busy night actually. Trying to get wires and everything routed to where I need them. So I've managed to, as you can see, sort of put the nose cone on. The 4 main bolts are actually screwed in. There's 2 at the top here, which is there, and the other side there, and then there's 2 on the inside. You might just see there's one there and there's one on the other side, and then obviously you locate them in here, and then the mirrors normally will hold it together with the rest of the fairing and that. Obviously I've routed the wires through for the boost gauge. The only thing I haven't wired in yet is the power source for it, which will be the next thing. All the wires are routed through for the camera, and I've just got to sort of figure out where I'm going to mount the cameras. On the back it's probably going to be a bit more difficult than I thought. Trying to tidy the wires up was a nightmare, and you see, because I put the rear light unit on and I was hoping of putting it here, but my tail tidy comes up to there, So, and then I thought there, but then it hangs down too much for the light unit. So I'm thinking of putting it either on the side here or on the side here. But I need to put the side piece on first to see how much space I've got. And we'll go from there. That plug, I was looking on my other loom, it's not on my other loom. This blue plug, which is almost next door to the plug that is for the supercharger purge system. Basically that's a sensor, and that takes the pressure, it reads the pressure from the airbox, and then it sends air through to this, the blow off valve, which then opens it and releases the pressure. Now, if anyone knows what that plug is, it should be a 2018 loom this, and what it's for. It's got two wires, a green with a red trace and a white with a red trace. I've looked in my manual, and I've looked in a manual which has got this traction control on, but I think it's a 2017 one, and it hasn't got that listed on any of the loom. So at the moment I've spoken to my engine builder, who's well in with Kawasaki and that. I've given him the information and a few photographs, and he's trying to get Kawasaki to try and let us know what it is, and if it's needed, if I need another sensor for it, or vice versa, or whatever. So I've routed me USB wires for all my 3 power commanders round the back, and I want to have them just underneath the panel here, so under the panel here, so just take it off and so on. So it's a bit of a pain, but the nose cone's on. Then I'm going to start tidying underneath the nose cone. I've got some wires there because I've got obviously camera wires, and I've got a switch wire that comes around. Wires I can't cut because they're purposely made. So I've just had to sort of try and tidy them up so that everything will be alright, because I've got these special plugs on the end, so I couldn't cut them and reattach them really. I suppose I could do it further down the loom and try and solder it, but the wires are so fine, I didn't want to do it in case I had problems soldering the wires, because they are so fine. As I say, I'm waiting for a couple of bits for the radiator, a collar for the radiator. Hi all, this is, I'm doing this video now. It's actually in the morning doing this video, as you can probably tell it's light now. It's to tell you what I did last night, because my phone died when I was doing the final video for last night. Now, if it's off the cuff this, so I'm trying to remember as I go along. But yeah, I did a lot of trying to sort out my electronic gear chain wires to get in right places and stuff like that. And then there was trying to thumb brake lines, and the new clutch line I've put in there, and routing. It's a lot of wiring and tidying up really, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a pain. Also the rear tail light is on, and I was just trying to figure out where to mount the camera for the rear, and the front nose cone is on as well. So I'll carry on. I'll show you around, and as I go around I'll probably remember it anyway. It's just a bit of a pain, like, you know, because the phone died, because I had it all fresh in my head then, because obviously I'd just done it. Right, okay, speak to you in a bit. Right, starting from the rear, I've put the cables through. I put them along that side there, and up, and plugged in there, and the 2 diagnostic plugs in the top there, which is what my manual says where you should put them. Also then I pulled through the indicator ones through the hole here, and the tail light, the number plate light one now. Also now my electronic gear changes in there, the main wire for the power source is there. I'm unsure whether I can shorten any of these, because some of them are a particular length for resistance, which actually is quite vital, I believe, for the solenoid to work correctly. So I'm not going to chop any of the wires, it just makes it very difficult to fit it everywhere. Sorry about that. So all these wires, I think that's a conditioner for the I'm probably wrong actually, but I think it's from electronic gear change. It takes no, I will be wrong because it's too many wires. No, it's got the right wires going in there. Grey with the red trace is a pickup off the tacho. and they're probably the two power ones, this side and that side. So yeah, it's probably a conditioner to, you know, you get spikes and that on in your tacho and you can't get a smooth reading. I'm hoping it's that for that. I need to check how smooth it is, because I can. I've got a feature with this which I've never used, which is what they call auto drag mode. So what you can do in the ECU, you can set what RPM you want the bike to change at, and basically you start off with first. It's got full drag. There is like a what they call a half drag auto, where you press from first to second, and then it'll automatically change third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever revs you set. But full drag mode, which is this is unlocked with, will do it from first. The reason why they don't unlock it normally straight away is because you could be doing a burnout or doing something silly, and it could change up, sort of thing, when you don't want it. So I've got this unlocked on this, and I can use it if I want. So I can set to change short shifts, say first, second, third, at 8, 9, 10,000 RPM, rather than going up to the limit because of the wheelie issues on this bike, on the short wheelbase. So I can do that on full drag mode, but the thing is, the tacho needs to be very smooth, because if it spikes at any point, it could change when you don't want it to be. So I think that's the conditioner for that. I may be wrong. If Chris Judd is watching this, he will be able to tell me exactly what it is, because he initially fitted this system. So if you're listening, Chris, or watching, then correct me where I'm wrong. So we've got all the other pro shift wires going through. These ones that have gone through there go to the solenoid, and I've got an earth to go to the solenoid as well. What I did notice on this bike after my last top speed one, that the earth strap, it was fitted, but it wasn't connected to the chassis of the engine properly. It was sparking in between, and that's why I was getting intermittent up changes, which is frustrating, because it's just a simple little thing. Now both me and a few other people who looked over it for me, because they were saying that I've got at the time I had a dirty signal from my rotary pot, because also it's got a rotary pot system on this. Will read your voltage from your rotary pot, and it will tell you automatically change to that gear, not change to that gear, but automatically know what gear it's in, rather than when you're going down the box, because it's got a blipper. When you're going down the box, when you get to first, if you press it again, it'll still try and go down the box. It'll still cut the ignition, blip, well, sorry, not cut the ignition, blip, and so on, and going up the box, it'll still try and go into, say, 7th gear. But with the rotary pot system, it won't, because it'll know what gear it's in, and you can set how many gears it's got on the bike. So that's I had a dirty signal on that on the original one, but I've got a new rotary pot fitted to it, and I say it's a new loom, so it should be a clean signal, because when I first had the bike, it was working awesomely on that. So yeah, there's a few other wires now. Also, we found this plug, as I was saying before, sorry, on this new 2018/2019 loom. I couldn't find it anywhere in any wiring diagrams I've got. I did look in my own manual, which didn't have it, didn't expect it to have it, and I ended up trying to have a look. The only one I could get was a 2017 manual. Now it had the latest traction control system, what they call the MMI or something like that, which is behind the clocks. It had all that on it, but it didn't have this on here. So I then spoke to my engine builder, who's a very good engine builder. He also does a lot of BHP stuff, and he got in touch with Kawasaki, and he found out that it is for the new bikes have so he said it's like a box, but it controls, it's something to do with the new emission controls. So he said he wasn't sure whether we could turn it off in the ECU, because obviously this is still a 2015 bike, so it would still have to go by 2015 emissions, even though I don't do it on an MOT at the moment. So whether you can turn it off, we don't know. So I've had to order the part anyway, just in case we can't, because otherwise it'll throw up an issue on the management light on the dash, and may throw it into some form of limpo mode, which is not what we want. So I've got that coming, don't know when it'll be here, so that to be able to sort that out. At least we found out what it was. I've got a few wires here and I'm still trying to figure out what's what. These are all aftermarket stuff. It's either one is, because they've got the same wires, I know what's what, right? It is a pickup off the RPM on the coils, right? Come on, it's focusing on it. Right, it's only a little bullet connector, right? And there's my electronic control, my gear change will need a pickup for it, and also the power commanders need a pickup for it. Now the power commanders used to just basically pinch into here with one of those funny screw things, but they kept breaking my wires and I was having issues with the vibrations of racing and that, so I ended up having to solder them in, and I've soldered them in, but I can only find 3 of the wires out of 4. Now I'm going to have another look through. I'm going to take off the the blow off valve and the pipe work and have a look, see if there's one hidden down there that I've missed. It's either that or I've already soldered it into the loom and taped it all up. But if I can't find it, I'll connect it to my gear change and I will see if, when we put it on the Dynajet software, if we've got an RPM. If we haven't got an RPM, then it's obviously, I need to find the good end. So it's a pain when the bike's been off the road for ages, and if it's fresh in your mind, if you do it within a week, it's fresh in your mind. So anyway, nose cone on the nose cone on these, you have 2 bolts that bolt it there. So this is the headlight unit. The plastic bit here is all the headlight unit, which then initially bolts to the nose cone, or screws to the nose cone, and then once that's attached to the nose cone, the whole nose cone with the light unit comes on. You've got 2 of them, one there and one there. Now on this loom I've noticed another diagnostic plug, which is up here near the tilt switch or drop sensor, whatever you want to call it. So I'll put that there so it's accessible through the screen if I need to get to it for any reason. And then there's also then another 2 bolts. If you can see one, oh, let me come in the right place. You can see them, you can see it there. There's one, and there's one on the other side. And that's again the plastic which is underneath that is attached to the headlamp, so that holds that. And then obviously your mirrors will hold them in on here, and then the rest of the fairing and so. Yeah. So the other thing as well. The rear camera, I was initially going to put it here, but it comes down quite far, and if I can't put it there because my tail unit comes up, my number plate hanger comes right up, so it's a bit of a pain. Then I thought about putting it there, but then again it comes down too far for the rear light unit and may block the light unit, and I think that might move around too much and give a bit of vibrations. So then what I'm thinking now is here, side on, and then pointing out this way, but I need to put the side unit on and see how much space I've got, see if it'll go in. If it will, I think that's a favourable position because it's quite shielded as well. It's either that or maybe here. I don't particularly want to go any lower because when the bike squats it may catch you. So that's what I was looking for on that. I think the front's going to be maybe a bit easier if I can get the underpiece. There's like an underpiece that goes underneath here and holds everything up. If I can get that to fit, because sometimes it's a bit of a pain with this nose cone, I will mount it to that somewhere. But then again, I've still got to watch for the front fender, or I could have the option is just to mount it on the top of the front fender underneath. That may be a good option. If I can't get that piece on underneath, I will have to do that and run the wires up one of the fork stanchions and round. So yeah, I think that's it for now. There's probably, yeah, oh yeah, brake lines, I'll tell you. Rear thumb brake line comes through here, and I've got it coming down there for the moment because the new fancy thing when I get it, I will have a line on the end there and then another one somewhere on it, which then attached to that, and they don't pressurize each other. So the rear thumb brakes from there, and then the foot brake will still be in action on it, and they will both work with the ABS unit, because obviously anything that comes from this cylinder has to go through the ABS unit first. So that sounds pretty good, because obviously you put pressure on that way for the foot brake, and then we're going to be putting pressure on that way through the sides for the thingy brake, and it doesn't back pressure. So that goes all the way along the edge there, and then round, and then it comes through here, attaches up to the thumb brake mount there. Come on, focus in on it. Yeah, and then I've got, this is a rear brake light, pressurized rear brake light. Now I don't know whether on the MOT, because I'm going to have 2 rear brakes, master cylinders, is whether to have a brake light on both. Probably not, because I might have got at least got one on the foot brake, but I'm going to wire it in anyway. And then the clutch line, it comes up higher, round, and then down to the clutch that way. Unfortunately, the clutch one is a little bit longer than what I needed, but save me trying to order another one. I've actually routed it slightly different way. So that's what I've done so far. I'm going to try and got to bleed the clutch through, I think, and then wire up the power control for the camera and the boost gauge. So as you can see from the dash now, that boost gauge will probably be a bit more like that. I'll tighten it up a bit. We're going to have a dash pretty much like that, with boost gauge, camera, rear view camera and front camera, whichever one I want, and obviously the original clocks. Then obviously I'm going to snip that and then tidy all them up. So the dash is going to be a bit more like that, and then I'm also going to have obviously a second cylinder, which I might try and mount it here in front of this one, just above here, with a special. I've seen them on online. I've ordered it. It's like a thing where it's fully adjustable to be able to put your cylinders anywhere. So I'm hoping that'll work well. And then because it's got a takes the fluid from the bottom of the cylinder, of the reservoir, I'm hoping that it'll sit there just nicely, and then it won't catch. I'm able to put it a bit further back as well. So that's the plan. We'll see how that plans out as we know. So I've just got still a few loose bolts and everything to go and tighten up and thingy on, and that's for the steering dampener. So that's that at the moment. Trying to think, not much else I can do now to tell you. Oh yes, I've managed to find my rise and rate fuel pump. Let's turn this camera around and I'll tell you that. Hi again. Yeah, I managed to find my rise and rate fuel pump, and it takes a feed from the back of the plenum, which when the boost pressure builds up, then actually gives it more fuel rather than electronically. If you do it electronically, there's a possibility that you could start burning your battery out and your other things. You don't really want to drop it, because it's only got a small battery on a bike, so you don't really want it electronically. If you can do it mechanically, it's probably better. It opens up like a diaphragm, and then that increases the pressure. So I think it increases the pressure. It does something to it anyway. I'm not that clued up on it. Extreme Creations made it. Now, when I originally put it on, I had problems with my stator and my regulator rectifier burning out quite regular. And I didn't think it was that for a long time, and I was like, nah, can't be that, it's just brand new and so on and all this. So we took it off and we put standard one on. We didn't have the problem. So I never put it on for a year, and recently when I was speaking to Extreme Creations about something else, I said to him about, oh yeah, I don't use my rise and rate fuel pump, and he said there was a few that are default where these particular washers or spacers were collapsing and they were shorting out. So he said you can get a picture of it and show him, he'll be able to tell me if it is one of them. Now I couldn't find pump at first. It was in one of the boxes, and, it was actually my race parts box for the H2, which was in the van of all things, and I found it anyway. But he sent the repair kit anyway, with a few Ventura things for the like velocity stacks, almost add-ons for the plenum to help with top end, and he sent them free of charge, and he sent them free of charge the repair kit, So, and I also then, well, that's what I was speaking to him about, because I had my turbo smart blow off valve blowing vent into it. It was quite loud. Now, where we do top speed racing, we are restricted by noise restrictions, and I was pulled aside to say mine was louder than the others. The other H2s were there, and I think it was that more than anything. Mind you, I did have a loose exhaust as well, so probably that as well. So I've what decided to do, and I wanted to ask him if there was a kit to be able to return it back to the airbox or the air pipe, and there was, and that's when we got onto the thing about the fuel thing. So I got that. So that's now got the big rubber pipe that goes out the other side, which I'll show you that when I put it all back together. But anyway, that's pretty much it. So the rise and rate fuel pump I will strip and repair, and I'll put that in on the bike again. He said to set the PSI at 35 to start with while it's pumping, not while it's static, but while it's pumping. So I'll do that as well, and we'll see where we get, eh? Just like my haircut, by the way. It's a lot better. I need to shave, don't I? Mind you, I could grow grizzly, couldn't I? Yeah. I never noticed I've got a crooked jaw as well, have I? Too many fights when I was younger, I suppose. A broken nose. Am I vain? Well, you soon let me know. Speak to you again shortly. Goodbye.